and renewable energy solutions worldwide. From humble beginnings in Senegal and advancing U.S. presidents and building sustainable communities in Africa, Dong's journey is nothing but inspiring.
They went to restaurants that they say you cannot be here. They had to eat on the parking lots to train them in leadership and grassroots organization. The work in Africa today is in areas that's not in universities anymore.
Giving you motivation for growth. 2 toes down, he keep it realer than most. He do it for the culture, that's always the goal. This is Strategic Moves with Ndiaye. This is Strategic Moves with Ndiaye.
Hey, what's up? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Ndiaye. This is a place where we bring art, culture, politics, and business all together, and we do it every Wednesday right here on this podcast. But when I'm not shooting this podcast, I am the owner of Strategic Resources, where we specialize in political campaigns, government, and public relations work. We've been doing it in this state for over 25 years, and I want to make your next move a strategic move. And this program gives me an opportunity to do just that. I get a chance to bring on some of the people I met along the way. We come on, we talk about some of our life experiences, and maybe, just maybe, it's something you can get out of it that'll help you in your business or your personal life. So if this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, all I need you to do is hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell as well, so that you'll know the next time this program is coming out. So we're going to get right to it today, man. We got a very special guest in the house. He was on my top 10. You know what? It's amazing that when I started this podcast, I had my list. You know, when you get started, you say, I got to have all these people I want to interview to come on my show. So you were definitely in my top 10 people who I wanted to have on the show because you are so international. International. This man got millions and millions of followers.
Millions. Global success.
Global, man. He started right here in Cleveland. We're going to talk to him about his experience. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to the best podcast producer in
What's
podcast
up? What's
history.
up, Ken?
You got the hiccups.
You got the hiccups?
Yeah, I got the hiccups also. I got the hiccups.
Right.
Hold your breath for 10 seconds.
Yeah, I get it now. So we're going to start that over again. So before we get started, we want to give a shout out to the best podcast producer in podcast history. History, we call this. History. Give it to the podcast history. I don't know, Sean. You would let us know if that's the case.
Thank you, Ken.
All right. DJ True, what's happening in there?
I am good. Looking forward to this show.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to go international.
We're about to go international, and we're about to get it started. So we're gonna jump right on in there.
And speaking of international, did you watch any of the Olympics?
No, I didn't watch it. Well, I watched the highlights of it. You know, that's how everybody did. Only thing I want to say about the Olympics, and we're gonna get started with this guest, is the funniest thing about the Olympics to me is that the U.S. lost breakdancing. We got a damn bronze in breakdancing.
Why don't they go back to
guess who we lost to? We lost to France.
That's right.
And we lost to Canada. We got a bronze medal in breakdancing.
Didn't we create breakdancing?
Yeah. You think about all that cardboard that was left on the streets of the United States.
Right.
I know.
They go lose to France. Something you created. They lost to France. So hey, international Sean gonna tell us about how bad France is. And here's the other thing: France wasn't giving up. Their basketball team was trying to win too. They was fighting over there. They bought that stuff to France.
They thought they could do it.
They thought they could do it, man. So I will give big props to France. Was working. They was like, we ain't giving these medals away.
Wemby was crying. He really wanted that goal.
Exactly.
He said, "We're going to bed. It's over.
We're going to bed. This is over."
That's right.
But we're gonna get started, man. So today we got an extraordinary guest here. His name is Sean Nang. He's a global social entrepreneur, political activist, a mentor who has incredible strides in promoting youth empowerment and renewable energy solutions worldwide. From humble beginnings in Senegal and advancing U.S. presidents and building sustainable communities in Africa, Dong's journey is nothing but inspiring. So, Sean, I want to welcome you to our program today, sir.
Thank you.
This is going to be a good show for me because I like talking to people that I know. I like talking to people who have done some good things in our city and our town. And you're one of them. And as I said before, you were somebody when I first got started doing this show. I said, I want to reach out to Sean because he's been doing big things, been following you for a long time, watching you build yourself up from here to where you are. So I want to give a little background about you. I know that your story began in Senegal and you came to the United States with just $20 in your pocket. Why don't you tell us about all of that, and then we're going to move along the lines to where we are today.
Well, thank you, Ken. It's a great pleasure to come here to participate and be your guest in the podcast I've been watching from far, and we've been talking about it for a while now, and today we were able to materialize that. So I'm extremely happy and proud to be back in my I call Cleveland my home city in the United States because this is where everything started for me. I was born in Senegal, raised in Senegal, and at 22 I decided to immigrate to the United States. As you know, through my story, that I grew up from a humble family of 28 brothers and sisters in
28.
In Senegal, but it's a polygamy family. My father had 3 wives who all lived in the same house, 3-bedroom house. And I grew up on those struggles and try to, looking at my mom, who was the second wife, the middle, wasn't very easy because my mom grew up, went to middle school, and her teacher, my father, married her. So she never finished school. And there was something that was always bothering her because the other wives were working. And she always cried about it. I grew up watching her talking about, I wish I finished school so I can get a job. And then that pained me a lot to see her going into suffering. I grew up in those difficulties after moved in my grandfather in many difficulties. It was real poverty where you can sometimes 3-4 days there's no food to eat in the house. My grandfather, we didn't have electricity. It's actually when I grew up got me into sustainable development and try to help people to electrify many villages in Africa because I grew up without electricity. We used to study under the sun when there's dark and we didn't have money to buy candles. We'll just go to sleep till early morning. My grandfather woke me up to study because he used to tell me all the time that you will be the one that will get the family out of this poverty and these difficulties. And he charged me very early on. And at one point, it was too difficult to grow up around that difficulties in going to school, walking 4 miles a day and coming home and not food. Then he sent me to Dakar with his sister, another grandmother. I ended up staying there to go to high school there. I did my second premier terminal all to 12th grade. That's where I had my baccalaureate, which is a high school diploma. And I was dreaming. It was interesting because I was in a class with one of my teachers, and I was in 9th grade. That's why there is a power in hope, instilling hope in young people, planting a seed in them. My teacher was giving us a beautiful story about Kofi Annan, which used to be the first African or Black person to lead the United Nations. And his story leaving Ghana to come to UK and then going to the United States and to becoming the first Black person to lead the United Nations, it did something to me as a kid. I was 14. I said, wow, I want to be like him one day. Then I started dreaming about the United States, which is to me in my dreams, in my hopes that that's the land of opportunity, that maybe I can go there too, to find my way to help my family and to be able to lift my family out of poverty and to be able to create a life for myself and my kids later on in life. So that's where the dream of the United States came about. But nobody in my family never had a passport, never traveled. We were struggling, so we were in poverty. So I had to figure out my own way, which I learned through, I talk about in my first book that, when there's will, there's always a way. So I had to create my own way. So after high school, I was working as an apprenti mason, which is like helping builders to carry bricks. And there I made a little money and I, got a passport. And for 2 years, I was running after US visa. Many Americans don't understand how difficult it is to get a visa to come to this country. It's extremely difficult.
Before you get to your visa, how difficult was it to get the passport? Because you're saying it's strictly poverty there. So how long was you working before you could raise enough money?
Raise money, just $20 to get a passport took me almost a year. How difficult it was. It was At that time in 1996, 97, it was very difficult for me to have that kind of money. So I applied, got the passport, but now you have to pay almost $100 to go to the U.S. Embassy to get an interview. And for 2 years, 4 times they deny me. Every time I come, they just say, "Oh, okay, cool. You don't have enough papers. They just let me go back."
And when they say enough paper, what they mean by that?
Yeah, we mean bank account that shows that you have enough money to come here.
Oh, really?
You're not going to stay in the United States and stuff. So
Really?
that was very difficult. For 2 years, 4 times they denied my visa.
Mm.
Finally, in 2000, this is time that people were saying, "Oh, in few days, by the 31st, is going to be the year 2000, and something might happen to the universe."
Yeah, right. I remember
Everybody
that.
was
Right.
scared.
Everybody thought
I was figuring out how to get to the United States. Okay,
they thought everything was going to flip back and all that.
on time. We don't know what's going to happen.
They really thought that you couldn't add another number.
Exactly. They couldn't. They say it was impossible.
It was
Everybody believed it. So it's that week that I was working to try to get here. And
Okay.
finally, this guy who. This older white American guy, I came, start talking to him. He's like, "Okay, so why you want to go to Cleveland, Ohio?"
Oh, so when you was there, you were saying you coming straight to Cleveland?
Because I applied first to Cuyahoga Community College. Why? That's another story.
All right. So you gotta get to that then. How you Africa? How you get to Cuyahoga?
When I was looking for a way to come, at that time we didn't have internet. So to do research in the school, to be accepted to come here, you have to have a school.
Okay.
You have to go to the library, go to an area that have all American universities, and you got to go to books one by one. Like there's no Google. So look, which school will accept you without a TOEFL? A TOEFL test is an English proficiency test. Because I'm a French-spoken country, you speak French and Wolof. To come here, you have to have a test that's called TOEFL that the university will accept you to give you an acceptance letter that you can take to the embassy. But the TOEFL costs too much money, $250. I don't have the money. I said, I got to find another school who can accept me without the TOEFL, where you can come and learn English for the first year first. And that's Cuyahoga Community College I found. It took me a long time to figure it out. I go through school. That's what got me to Cleveland, huh? Cuyahoga Community College.
You're a great spokesman. I mean, they can't come no better. They can really use you. I mean, really?
Bro,
you went through a bunch of books and found Cuyahoga Community.
Florida. I went to I don't know where Cleveland is. I never heard about Cleveland. I just saw this school here can give you an I-20 without it. I wrote them a letter.
That's crazy.
3 months later, at that time, you got to wait for 3 months for the letter to come back. I wait for 3 months. One day I came. They sent me an I-20 accepted letter that when I come, I'll have to do 1 year there to learn English before I transfer to any other school. That's the deal.
Wow.
I said, fine, I'll take it. So that's how I went to the interview. The guy told me, "Well, why are you choosing Cleveland? It's too cold." I said, "I don't know. I just want to get out of here. It's cool. I'll take it." So this is how he ended up giving me the visa. And he said, "You don't have all the bank account." I said, "I know, but I'm tired. I want to help my mom. Just give me a chance." He said, "I will give you a chance. This is an opportunity. When you go, just make sure you do what you got to do." And that's how I ended up getting a visa. I stayed January, February, March, April, May, 5 months in Senegal, January 2000 to May 2000. I couldn't leave the country because my family did everything possible. My mom and I, we couldn't find $500 ticket to bring me here.
The plane ticket.
I almost lost the visa. Yeah.
Right. So you only have a certain length of time to use the visa.
I had to come in before I actually passed the time because I was supposed to come in the fall semester. I mean, in the spring semester. That was starting in January. And I'm there till almost summer semester, which created a problem for me that I'll talk about later when I came to Cleveland with the immigration. But we went everywhere, borrowed the money. We couldn't find the money. I was discouraged at one point. And in May earlier, my mom called me, said one of my cousins from, he was immigrating in Japan, came to vacation. We can go and borrow the money from him. He's the one that gave me the money. And 20 bucks was left, US dollar. First time I held this money. He said, "This is all I got left. You can have it as a pocket money." And I flew that night with the $20 in New York.
Wow.
Yeah, we called a family member who was driving a taxi, Asjang in New York, in the Bronx, who picked me up. I slept in his couch for 3 months, and I found a little job as a service restaurant, cleaning tables there in New Rochelle, New York, right out of
now, you're still in New York. You got to make it to Cleveland.
And then now I have to come to Cleveland because immigration is telling me you're going to lose your visa if you have to go to school.
Right.
So I saved $800, and I told my host I need to get to Cleveland. They got me the Greyhound. Everybody in New York like, what are you doing in Cleveland?
Everybody said the
It's
same
country
thing.
place, you know. And they all discouraged me, but I have to come.
All right.
And I'm glad that I made the decision. That's the
Wow.
best decision of my life. And I was shocked because I took the bus and I came. It took me almost 10, 12 hours. I arrived in downtown Greyhound with a small bag, no English, and don't know nobody. And I asked for Cuyahoga Community College. I went to Cuyahoga Community College. I arrived around 1, 2 o'clock. I went there. They said, we don't have dorm rooms.
No, right.
So the only thing you can do for you, take you to the YMCA on East 22nd Street in Chester.
Wow.
They took me there. Bro, I had $800. They took $600 out of me. So at least they gave me a room. Now I got $400 to live by. I don't got a job yet.
Oh, they charged you to stay there.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to. So I paid.
Okay.
I stayed. Now I got to go look for a job and start school. So I started working, looking for a job. You know, my favorite place to go, I didn't know nowhere, nobody. I would just walk to Tower City downtown. At the time, Tower City was happening.
Right.
There's a lot of stores. I apply everywhere. Every day I go back there. I didn't get a job until the money is gone. And finally, one day I went to the Marriott Hotel downtown. That's my first job in here. They had the Dave's restaurant downstairs. There's still a restaurant there.
Right.
And they got me a job. They as a busboy, I was cleaning tables there.
And going to Tri-C.
And going to Tri-C every night, every day. In the nighttime I work and the weekend to make money. So this is how I did that. Tri-C, and then I ended up going
So from start to finish.
Yeah.
From the time I said I'm gonna, because I know we ain't gonna go from the dream. From the time you actually, the guy said, okay, you're going to the United States, till you actually set foot in Cleveland. How long was that time frame?
It took a while. I decided in 1996, 97 that I'm going to go to the United States. It took me 4 years in 2000 to be able to make it here.
4 years.
Yeah, it took me 4 years. It took a long time, but it was worth it for me because it changed my life. It changed my family's lives. It changed millions of people I haven't even met. That was inspired my story, to my writings, to my work, to the work we do in 34 countries around the world. I've traveled more than 100 countries around the world to give lectures, to work. And all of this started from this beautiful, great city that gave me my start. You know, it was not easy because of the first days when you come in the country, it's like, I just say, okay, can we go into China? And I just drop you in China at 22 years old, and you have no knowledge of the country. You don't speak Mandarin. You don't speak, you don't know nobody, and you have to start from zero and from scratch to create a life for yourself. It was extremely lonely nights. It was a lot of nights that I doubted that maybe I want to go back, but I had to fight my way to come in. No community to talk to. You know, my food was far away from me. I had to learn the American way, what you guys eat. We eat rice and little vegetables, but now I was eating McDonald's and different things. You know, not when you're sick, you come to the house, you by yourself. There's no family to take care of you. It happened to me many times here. But I knew that it was a beginning for me that I have to create something for my now son and my kids to be able to, have a place that they can be proud of, and they can have a shoulder to lean on, that they're not going to go through what I went through. And I had to create that way. And Cleveland was the place to start for me.
So your thing with Tri-C, and you in there, how long did you go to Tri-C?
I did almost a year and a half, and then I transferred to Myers University, and I did public administration there. And that's where I graduated from. And then after that, I got involved into the politics. In 2003, I remember when the economy was really difficult going 2004. And at the time, I was questioning a lot of things. Like, okay, how can I get involved in the community? I needed something that was itching in me, that I wanted to get involved community-wise, because I saw people I went to school with, their homes were being bankrupt. The economy was, this was the time that George Bush had 2 wars, Afghanistan and Iraq. And most of our jobs in the Midwest of the United States was being affected, was being outsourced in China. That was the beginning of outsourcing, remember that? And 9/11 just happened 3 years ago after that, and it was very difficult. And I was questioning, what can I do in my community? And I have a great friend who actually ran for judge here. You might know Reginald Maxton,
Yeah.
who ran for office for judge.
Right. Exactly.
He was my guy. We grew up.
Right.
We were in the same building.
Exactly.
Every evening, he loved French, so we talked all the time. He's a lawyer.
Mhm.
I said, Reggie, I want to get involved. How can I get involved here? He said, but I want to get involved in politics because that's where you can make a difference. He said, well, you got to go to city council, and then you can see there's a young guy over there named Zach Reed, because Zach Reed was just the beginning.
Right.
At that time,
Zach was just coming
or
out
Kevin
there.
Conwell, they're young, and you can volunteer with them first. I said, okay, I go to city council on Monday night. I sit in the back. As soon as I got in there, I feel like I belong. I was
Really?
so happy. Sitting in the back watching everybody. And every time Zach Reed, he's very eloquent, pick up the mic, he talked to his show. I'm like, oh man, I like this guy. I can volunteer for him. So I came to Zach after the city council meeting. I say, my name is Sean Young, and I'm new in the town. I'm here for 3 years, and I want to volunteer for your campaign. But Zach at that time, he was very, he didn't let me in. He was like, okay, well, no problem. Give me your phone.
Right.
But he was not very welcoming. So we ended up becoming cool later on.
Right.
Then I went to Kevin Conwell. Kevin loved anything international. He's an artist.
Right,
He's a musician.
right,
He's like,
right.
oh man, young Sean, you parle français? I said, yes. He said, oh, I speak Swahili. Do you know Swahili? I said, I speak Wolof. Then we become connected.
Right.
He's like, well, come tomorrow. I'm going to do some door knocking. You want to
Yeah,
come with me?
Kevin put you right to work.
The next day, I'm in the east side, in St. Clair area, knocking doors with Kevin. And I felt myself like, I said, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Wow.
Talking to the voters, talking to the community, following Kevin. The whole year, we won the elections, got re-election. Then Jan Campbell was the mayor.
Yeah.
But I always liked Frank Jackson because of, the way he was so rooted in the community. He was the president of the city council.
That's correct.
I did not miss one city council the whole year. Every year, every Monday I'm there. And I watched how he interact. I said, this guy can be a great mayor. And I was dreaming he announced he would run for mayor. He took it to the last minute, and Frank decided to run. So I said, it's an opportunity. I went to see Brian Griffin, who's now the city council president.
Yeah.
Brian was the deputy campaign manager. And I started working with Brian for the campaign, the young people, with my late friend, God bless his soul, Derek Collins. And we started working on the campaign. Actually, that's where I met you. Then we worked on that campaign. We won. Then I got the bug of politics.
Then you got the bug.
Yeah, then I got a call.
That's when you became Sean.
Yeah, then I started running into the campaign.
Matter of fact, that's when you became African Sean.
Yeah,
because now everybody
was
was trying to know. Everybody's like, who was you talking
everywhere.
about? African Sean, that guy.
Right.
You're like, that's when you became.
And I went into the Young Democrats and took the presidency.
And took the presidency there.
And I got all, Paul Sadler, Mike, all them get involved in politics. And then now the Young Dems was very dynamic. And one day Senator Shirley Smith called me.
I was about to say, where you go get to that one?
Yeah.
That's the one you're most famous
That's
for.
my girl. That's my girl, Shirley. Shirley was our mother.
That's the one you famous
tough
for.
sister, but great woman.
You was hanging tough with her.
Yeah,
man.
I was hanging tough with Shirley
You was
because
hanging tough with her.
everybody was trying to do something wrong, and I was with her.
You was with Shirley.
And we won. We won the election. She became senator from state representative. Then Shirley did something special with me because one day I was with Shirley, and Shirley said, Sean, we gotta go to Columbus together. She had this nice new Chrysler that everybody liked at that time.
This 300. Yeah, she had one of those.
And like, come on, you drive with me. I said, what are we doing in Columbus? He said, I have a sense that Senator Obama will be the next president. Shirley, the first person who told me this. Senator Obama was just in office as senator. I said, well, that's interesting. I look him up. I said, yeah, there's something in this guy. He said, well, let's go. You're gonna meet him. We're gonna host him. You're gonna have the dinner event for the Democratic Party fundraising annual event. But on the side, Shirley was ahead of the Black Caucus in Columbus. He said, we're gonna do a side event. We Black people, we're gonna do our own thing before everybody else. So I said, okay, we'll go to the out introduce him to you. So we went. I drove with Shirley. We went there. We had an event before Barack going to the state. You have all the Black elected officials in Ohio. I remember we were all in a table like this, and Shirley took the mic. President Obama was sitting next to her. He said, okay, I got something to say just for you to know. I don't know what you're gonna do because he didn't decide to run yet, but you will be the next president of the United States. Barack took the mic away from Shirley. It's like, come on, I'm not running for president. He said, I don't know if you're gonna run or not, but you will be the next president.
He took the mic from her.
Barack took it away from him. They're really arguing about,
Really?
you're the president, I'm not interested to run for office.
Really?
Honestly. Yeah, Shirley. And I documented this in my first book.
Really?
It was I'm here, I'm the only staffer in the room
Mhm.
with another dude from another office. And it's like 30 or something elected officials. And I'm just watching this historic thing happening.
Mm.
I brought Barack the book, so I brought it in. Then he signed it for us. Then we walked with him to go give a speech. After the reception, we came back and Shirley told me, I know, I feel it. She's going to be president.
Mhm.
This is in August or September, somewhere in the summer.
Mhm.
October, November, December, end of December, Barack decided now he's going to run for office.
Right.
In February, I packed my bags. I ran to Illinois
Mhm.
to witness the first speech that he did to run for president. Then I went to the headquarters there to do my first training.
Mhm.
And when I came back, you already had the space.
Mhm.
You know, the strategic moves. You were already, you control the system here.
Mhm.
And I come to you. Remember, you
Right,
organizing.
right,
I said, but the president is coming. You organize all that event. We did it together.
Mhm.
Where we had Bashir, who was the amazing young guy
Yeah,
coming up with
yeah.
the speech to do the introduction.
Mhm.
And that changed our lives.
That changed it all. That was a weird time in life. Like you say, I got a call to help out on that campaign.
Yeah.
And that was a strange time, Sean. I mean,
Yeah.
it was really a
Nobody
strange
wanted to
time.
get involved, too.
Nobody wanted to get involved in it.
Mhm.
Like we say, we wasn't
Yeah.
getting a lot of support here.
Yeah.
People were
From the
okay
leadership.
that from the leadership. They
Mhm.
and to that point, you know, it was we had a lot of big time leaders still around us.
Yes.
Stephanie Tubbs Jones,
And you didn't want to piss any of them
Arnold
off.
Pinckney, Lou
Yeah.
Stokes.
Lou
Everybody
Stokes,
was still
Congressman
around.
Stokes was here,
Yeah,
right.
everybody was still around.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, we were undercutting everybody
Yes.
because everybody kind of was with that, but the
Right.
politics was with Hillary Clinton and
Exactly.
everything
But they
else.
owe a lot to
Yeah.
Bill Clinton. And I
Yeah.
remember
Right.
Ken, I got a call from Cam Conway. He said, Ken, Sean.
Mhm.
He said, yeah, you know, go Kev. You gotta come to the office tomorrow. I gotta talk to you, man.
Mhm.
I say, okay. I say, young Sean. Paula was there. His assistant Paula, who's now in
Mhm.
Pittsburgh. He said, young Sean, I gotta talk to you, man. You guys running around over here talking about this Obama thing. But I'm telling you, guys, pissing off a lot of people, man. If Obama don't win these primaries, man, y'all done in
Y'all done
politics.
in
Y'all
politics.
you're moving another state.
Yeah, I know he was on. And hold on, and then at the end, now here goes another insight. Had the
Right.
same conversation with Kev. Was
Right.
like, hey brother,
Can y'all introduce me
you,
to?
you better be with us.
Right.
Because you Mr. Remember, Kevin was Mr. Fatherhood.
Exactly.
I'm Mr. Fatherhood of the
Yeah.
year. I'm the
Yeah.
father of the year, and all of this. I said, how can you be all of that and not endorse the first
Obama.
African American male?
Exactly.
And I said, and you need to be making that. And from there,
Yeah.
he decided I'm going to go ahead and
Exactly.
go in and go with Obama.
Right.
But to that point, you're right. It was a lot of people who was just not on board. And when they asked
African Americans,
no, these were African Americans. They were not on board.
Right.
And we put that event together.
Mhm.
We had about 6,000 people
Exactly.
showed up.
Yep.
And
Mostly
you know
young
what?
people.
Most of the young people. I remember that event was crazy. Man, we had the
Mhm.
bands in there, the
It was
choirs,
nice.
gospel choirs.
Yeah,
it was in
it
there
was-
rocking.
It was so fun.
It was wild.
And I
But-
know we picked up Barack,
Oh yeah.
and I remember we picked him up from the airport.
Mhm.
And I with Paul Sadler and Mike, and we were going against it. There's no motorcade. We
No.
went to Frank Jackson to give us his police officer
Yeah.
out there
Mhm.
that was there to help with
Yeah.
Reggie Love.
Yeah.
And we coming from Tri-C, remember we had
Mhm.
this little
Yeah.
fundraising event.
Right.
The mayor came there, but he said he's not coming to the public event.
No,
He just come
right.
to say hi.
Mhm.
And then when we come in Tri-C, we're going against traffic. This craziest thing
Mhm.
with my Lexus, and all of us like
Mhm.
acting
Mhm.
like we're some presidential
Right.
stuff.
Right.
We come in there, and when we're done, Kevin was waiting with his wife, but he said, "Oh, I'm waiting too long. I'm just gonna go home." I said, "We come meet with the Senate. It's too long. I don't want to go home." Because to them, that was still not.
Yeah, they were still there
Exactly.
because he was still senator.
Exactly.
He was Senator Barack
Exactly.
Obama, and he
Yeah.
still hadn't announced he was running.
Exactly.
It was one of them. I think
Let's touch it, right.
we're touching him. He's
Yeah.
going to announce any
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
and it was wild. And to that point, man, just to let people know, it was funny about that, and this is how grassroots it was.
Exactly.
Is that you know, a lot of my friends helped on that event, and I got a friend of mine named Wayne Trotter. We call him Meach. But when you come in his house, man, over his fireplace, man,
Wow.
it's like a picture, like 55-inch,
Wow.
big old picture
Right.
with him and Barack.
that day. That's
Because then it's almost like a selfie. It's like he was just hanging out with people and taking pictures, and it was like, wow, and this was right before it. And he's I got my Barack Obama picture. Like nobody got one of these.
Everybody went.
And no, because everybody didn't get one of those, and because again, nobody believed in a lot of that other stuff. So that's wild. Yeah. Now you took that opportunity, and we get you rolling. You took that opportunity to then look at the fact that now you talked about working on his campaign. You actually, after he won, you went and got involved in DC. What role did you take on, and when you got to DC, what was you doing?
So what was interesting is, after Barack won, I had to make a decision to what to do, and I was still struggling with something. When I went to inauguration, President Obama had the staff ball right after the day of the inauguration.
Okay.
We had the staff ball that night. And then we have everybody who worked on the campaign had to do a special ball with him where he was giving a message to us to what we're doing next. It's in the YouTube. And he talked about something that really hit my core. He was saying, all right, because of you guys, each one of you, the sacrifices you made, it was true. It was long sacrifices for 2 years. It was from 2007 and long primaries with Hillary, who didn't want to leave till the summer, till almost the convention. Then and after that, going with McCain, it was a very difficult, long 2-year campaigning for us. It was difficult for me because my son was just at the time 1 year old, and I had to move out a little bit in Cleveland for a little bit to live in Cincinnati, go to Chicago, to Iowa for the primaries. So I wasn't seeing him much. So of thousands of those people that came into Washington left their towns to come to listen to that hope, which we live in the day. Couldn't even have a hotel that can sleep in. It was illegal at that time to rent Black people hotels, unless it's the motel called Black only.
That's correct.
So many of our people who came to listen to Dr. King from Chicago, from Ohio, from the South, wherever, to come to DC for a hope they will never see, slept in their car. They went to restaurants that they say you cannot be here. They had to eat on the parking lots. Today, I am a Black man from Africa who is taking advantage of this struggle of my people in America, watching a dream of a Black man telling us we can do anything.
Oh, wow. And
there I had I don't know how to call it. It's
the kryptonite. It's not kryptonite. It was like empowering.
It was true empowering.
True empowering.
You can do anything. I say, okay, it's too small. I cannot be in Cleveland anymore. Right. I have to leave my city that I love. I have to come to DC, and then I started working with the State Department.
And when it said go back to the places that you go back to do it, going back to you wasn't necessarily Ohio.
Exactly. It was about going back to the vulnerable, to the people who live like me.
There you go.
And to uplift them, to transcend, to pass on the hope that President Obama has given me. Well, I worked for almost a year with our Congresswoman, Congresswoman Fudge, for 9 months. Then I decided I'm going to be in DC, and then to help the administration, but on a global level. So the State Department hired me to go to different countries. The first contract I got, they said, okay, you speak French. We need you to go to France to do this empowerment grassroots training. We will identify all the upcoming leaders in the country. For soft power, the US do that in every country. They identify upcoming political leaders and business leaders. They bring them to the US or bring Americans who can inspire them there so they can have a connection with the United States.
So you were the one.
Everybody wanted to learn about the American Obama campaign, but many people don't speak French. So they hired me to go to France. So I went to France. They got me in the biggest TV show. Now everybody want to see me. So I went to the big, I had a conference. I went to this universities. It's called Rouen Business School. It was 900 people, still on YouTube, full, sold out. Another room, 500 people, big screen TV. They're all waiting for me to say something. A kid from Cleveland.
Really?
Right outside of Paris. And everybody's waiting for me to speak. So when I came and speak, it was amazing. When I came out, everybody was there taking photos. It's like what I was doing for Barack. Now they're doing it for me.
So what was your first speech about?
It was about how we went from grassroots, like we just talked about, from nothing to something. How we were able to create something that people thought was not possible to make it a reality.
So when did you realize that you had the ability to do that?
I think it came along for a long time in my grassroots works in Cleveland when I came with the Young Democrats, but also my interactions in the east side of Cleveland, campaigning with Kevin Conwell, and then in Frank Jackson's campaign also, to be able to create a campaign where Jan Campbell in the beginning was everybody raised all the money and had everybody behind. But to elect Frank was very hard for us. But we were able to put him in, gave me so much confidence that we can do this.
But everybody can't be a motivational speaker now. What made you think that, you know what, I'm gonna get, I know you like, I'm gonna, like, you know, most people first little speeches, a first little speech, you saying they put you out there.
Right. And then it just went so well because I was already doing it here in Cleveland a lot.
Okay.
You know, with the young dads. I was introducing some stuff with the campaign with President Obama. I was the president of the Young Democrats in Cuyahoga County. I had to come and resign and let Paul take on and Curtis Thompson so I can move on. So I was already in leadership positions by they were grooming me also.
Okay.
They gave me opportunities, even with the campaign with Bland. We go to events that let me speak. So I was sharing my story and the people of Cleveland loved me.
So you were ready.
I was ready. People groomed me, you know. Like I said the other day, you guys are laughing. When you can do politics in Cleveland, man, you can do politics everywhere. This town is hard, man.
Oh no, we understand that. You all the way from Africa coming back talking about it's hard.
You see it? Politics in Cleveland it's in another level. So to be able to go around till I can maneuver the Cleveland politics, I was ready for the rest of the country. So then overseas, it went pretty well, and I met the richest man in the town. Claude Bebeari was the owner of AXA Insurance, two of them, and also another guy who does the food, all the foods, even for the U.S. Army. Yeah, Sodexo is called the company. He just passed away 2 years ago, and then they saw me on TV and they called me up to their office. The two richest guys. When the U.S. Embassy called me, say these two people need to meet you, but you need to know that they are very, very, very powerful in the country. I said, but who are they? I said, you know. Warren Buffett in the US? He said, yeah. I said, these are the two Warren Buffetts here. I said, oh, okay, cool. So I go meet these older white guys. They say, we watch your speech, we watch you on television. Your story can be amazing to help young people in France, especially Arabs and young blacks in the communities, because we're having a lot of issues. Remember, they had a lot of issues with the young people, even they burned France a few years ago, 2007.
Yes, correct.
He said, but because you're French born and Senegalese born and you speak French, your story will collide because it's the same background. And they can show them that they can do anything. I said, but how do you want to use, how can we work together? He said, do you have a nonprofit? I said, it's called Give One Project. I started in Cleveland. He said, well, if you can open it here, we can fund the project. So you can help these young people to make them believe like you believe in the US, believe in France, and support themselves. I said, that's fine. They opened the office, fund the project. And I started picking the young leaders, bringing them to the US in DC to train them in leadership and grassroots organization. With the French government involved, and became a big thing. Today, these young people are like the biggest in France. Like Moussa Camara, who's I just took to the White House again every year. Like last October, I bring them. I do the program with the White House, the State Department, U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I brought a lot of young people from Cleveland. Van Monroe, a great artist that did that. Remember Obama shoes for us?
Yes.
The French president's wife did a reception for them. I bring Paul Sadler, Mike Ruff, all the Clevelanders. I brought them also. Kevin Cottrell Kenny, Dr. Cottrell Kenny. I got Cleveland people also be represented in France. I did it in Japan. I did it after many governments see me doing that. The State Department sent me also in London. They sent me in Belgium. I did the same thing. And Belgium was interesting because when the State Department brought me to Belgium, I did the tour. And they take me to tough neighborhoods to talk to young people. They took me to this neighborhood called Molenbeek neighborhood, right outside of Belgium. But it's populated with young people from African Arab descent, Morocco, Algeria, etc. You will know why I said Molenbeek, because after my report, I sent a report after listening to this young folks. They asked me questions, I asked questions. When I come back to Washington, I have to make a report to the State Department, tell them what I learned about it and my recommendations to help those young people. In my recommendation, I told them that we need to put a lot of resources, especially with the Belgian government in Molenbeek. Because those young people I met are very angry of the system in Molenbeek, in Belgium. They feel so disowned, they feel so disfranchised that they think their enemy is Belgium, and they're born Belgium. But they want to fight this town. That's how they were talking. Guess what? Few years later, 7 years later, they're the one that, you remember those terrorist attacks in France that happened?
Yes.
Those young people that left Molenbeek took the train to burn all over the airport of Belgium. Did the same thing in France a few years ago. Remember?
Wow.
That's the same neighborhood that I was working on.
Wow.
I did that in London, after in Italy, and they turned me to Jamaica.
Mm.
So every year, every place I went, I also set up Give One Project. That's how it allowed me to now have Give One Project, my nonprofit that I created in Cleveland here at the McDonald's right here in Chester or Carnegie.
Yeah,
Whatever that's
right.
That's where we sat down, me and Dr. Kenny and Mike and all of my friends, to start Give One Project, which today trained more than 25,000 young people around the world.
Wow.
Who became ministers, state country leaders, politicians, prime ministers. One, for example, in Chad running for president right now. Some of them are big business people, and it's still going on in 34 countries in all continents in the world that I started from here. That's just one project. And then later on, I went on to, in response to what my mother was going through, I told you earlier that, watching her not go to school.
Right.
When I went back home, I bought a house and made it a center for women called Give One Project Women Training Center. For all the women or girls who didn't finish school, who didn't go to school, or they got married early, because young people go through that when women in Africa. They go to my center, full scholarship, they're housed, they fed, and in 3 months, we teach them a skill to be able to work, have their own businesses. From doing hair, to doing makeups, to doing sewing. My women's center is in Senegal for women. And then I launched another project that's called, this 5 years ago, Give One Project, Digital Skills Academy. I took one of my vacation homes and turned it into digital academy. And young people are learning coding in Senegal, learning AI and cybersecurity, now in partnership with the United Nations Development Organization. They're funding the project now. I did it for 4 years myself. All these young people coming through scholarships, been learning for free. We are creating cybersecurity experts from my program. And the last project I just started in 2014 now is my biggest project. It's called the Jeuf Zone Farm. It's my farm in Senegal, which I sold a lot of people in Africa. Majority of what we eat, we have sun, we got water, we got all it takes. We should have been feeding the world, but because of lack of will of our leadership for years, 80% of what we eat come from overseas.
Really?
So I said that's got to change. We should be feeding the world. We got the most arable soil, we got water, we got the youngest population in the world is in Africa. 70% of Senegalese, for example, just my country, are under 25 years old. Young people everywhere.
70%?
Yes, but none of them are, most of them got 70% of them. Some countries, 75% are under 25. Young people everywhere, brother.
Wow.
But no training, no jobs, no opportunities, and we don't eat what we're waiting for Asia, or Ukraine, other countries to bring us food. I said that's gotta change. And what I learned about this country is about grassroots organizing is what changes policy. Policy is affected by transformative leadership, what you create from the ground up. And even in farming, I learned that you got to be able to plant seeds if you want to harvest. But you only can harvest the seeds that you planted. If you want to harvest corn, you cannot plant meals. You got to plant corns. But it's not only enough to just plant the corn. Because as a farmer, now I'm speaking as a farmer, you have to plant the land, plant the seed, but you have to also water it. You got to weed out because it's going to be bad weeds around all the time. So you got to come out and take the weeds out so they don't take all the water and the ingredients to kill the plants. That's about the environment we create when we're creating things like you. To be able to be here, you have to surround yourself with people who can uplift you, support your projects to be able to be here. That's the bad days who are going to be negative, always telling you can't do it.
That's correct.
But to go farther, if you keep watering it, that's what you're going through. You're going through the difficulties. One day will come, you will harvest what you planted. So I said, okay, it's time to plant the seed to instill in young people in my country and Africa that we do not have to wait for somebody to feed us. Because as Bob Marley said, a hungry man is an angry man. And we have to be able, first of all, to feed ourselves, independent. Then we can be innovative. We can be creative. We can be able.
Don't worry, Sean.
We can create. And we can have a full control of our life. So I started farming. I knew nothing about farming.
I saw you on the video.
Yeah,
I was like, out
I
here
just go to
trying.
land for nothing.
Yeah,
2014.
I think I saw you out there trying to bulldoze it or getting
Everything.
it cultivated when it first was going.
Yes.
Now the thing I looked at over there, it looked like it's dry as hell over there, man.
It is. We don't have much rain in Senegal. We have 3-month rain right now: August, July, August, September.
So how hard is it to grow stuff over there like
But we are sitting on water.
Mm.
You know, we are sitting all over water. You can dig holes, you get water. That's what I did. I got, you know, we got the puits, we have forage, you know, paddles,
wells and
all that stuff. So then, in the farm, I saw also that we need to educate folks. We gotta make it attractive because I'm followed by a lot of young people. They saw me in Washington with President Obama and all of you guys. What I'm doing here in the United States. So I'm like, okay, what America has done, I've learned in the US, is we know how to tell stories. We know how to create hope from nothing.
Okay.
I said the storytelling of Hollywood is the reason why everybody want to come to America. Because in movies, America was able to put in that soft power so people can start dreaming about, I want a big car, a big house, eating some popcorn, watching movies, you know, in the United States. The world want to come here. I say, okay, I'm going to make farming just like that in Africa. I'm going to make it attractive so it can attract young people back into the land. Because farming is not attractive over there. It's poverty, it's misery. So young people don't want to do it. But now since I started doing it, I did a school inside, make it inside nice, a football field, a basketball field inside the farm, make it very sexy, beautiful. And when they come, they don't want to leave. I make it a Chonyang Agriculture and Leadership Institute. This week, today, we are on the 81st class of young people who come train from all over the world. Not anymore Africa alone. They come from everywhere in the diaspora. Come from Brazil. They come from Mexico. They come from people. Google and see my farm. Get a flight. They come to Senegal. They go not to Dakar, to the town, straight to the village to stay in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Be trained in the farm and go back and to do that in their own countries. 49 nationalities around the world this past 10 years. So I'm thankful to be able to witness the impact it's making. And this, to anybody listening to us too, is a message that whatever idea you have, sitting there somewhere, you're thinking one day they're going to wait for the right time to come to be able to make it. Or you're waiting for the moment to have the money to do it, the resources to do it. I tell you, don't. That idea that you have can change the world, can change lives that you don't even meet. If you started today where you are, from where you are and what you have, even if you have $1, start it. And you build it like the farmer with the hope that the process, you let the process happen by just doing what you can do every day. It took me 10 years when I was building the school in the farm. My team did a call meeting to me and come and tell me, listen, man, this is a village in Africa. Nobody going to come here to study farming. So give us the money. We put it more in the land for agriculture, but we don't need to build a school. I told them, you build it, no matter how far it is, people will come and find it. Whatever you sell in the world, there is a customer for it. And I know one day people will take their countries. I don't know what country am I going to be coming, but today I told them they will be here. Trust me, brother, 49 countries in the world, that some of them I haven't visited, they come in my farm to learn about farming. It's shocking me, it's shocked anybody around me. So anybody listening, my brother, I'm telling them there is nothing we cannot do if we're willing to just plant the seed and water it. And don't forget, without the bad ones. Sometimes there's going to be some friends going to tell you, hey, it's you ambitious, you can't be doing that.
Yeah,
you don't have the money.
You say you got to weed them
and
out.
Sometimes the biggest problem is you too. The other man telling you, you don't got the money yet. You got to wait to get the money.
Right.
Just start where you are. And you will see that someday it might change lives that you don't even imagine it can be.
That's very interesting. Let's talk about you talked about a lot about the importance of youth empowerment. Oh no, that's we got in that. You often speak of there's often stereotypes that politics is inaccessible for immigrants and minorities. How do you break through those barriers, and what advice do you have for the young people who are trying to do that today?
That's right. That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. You know, because a lot of people don't talk about that, but it's very difficult for immigrants to break barriers in American politics, for example, because a lot of us, we make limits. It's not because of the American politics limit them, but a lot of us, we limit ourselves before we even start. We think that because we're new to this country, this is not our role to do politics, because we look at politics as the main leadership of the country. So we don't belong. We don't supposed to do that. Even though as soon as you arrive in this country, even if you're not documented, America doesn't make you feel like you don't belong here. In Europe, you can feel it right away. You can be born there. They'll make you belong here. You don't belong here. Even if you're
In
born.
Europe?
Yes.
Really?
That's why these young people are having a lot of. You see what's going on in London this whole week. They're burning the whole town.
Okay.
So the problem is that many of us, for example, me when I first arrived, when I went to Harlem, is the city in Harlem from the 116 to 125 street, Lenox Avenue area, MLK, all of that is Senegalese people. It's called the small Senegal.
Right.
So we live among each other, which is okay. We watch TV in Senegal. We involve in Senegalese politics. We involve what's going on at home, but we forget to get involved in what is also our home. And when I went to my first time, when I first get my paycheck, I said, I'm going to go eat some Senegalese food. And I took the 2 train from the Bronx to Harlem, and I came and I see how we live. I say, I do not want to leave Senegal to be in Senegal. I am in the US. I want to be in the core of where decision is going to be made, because I know politics are too powerful. Politicians are too powerful to be let alone by themselves, because they decide the taxes we pay, they decided the schools we go, they decide our hospitals, our roads. We got to get involved. And every other community actually is doing it. You see, Latin American community is being very strong now. They have their own caucus in Congress. The Asian community is being very strong. They have their own caucus in Congress. The African American community, for a long time, they were the center of fighting to take our place over here. But there's other communities, which is us, we belong to that community, but Africans are not yet that involved in American politics. To me, the best way for us to do it was just to get involved from the local politics first. That's what I did.
That's what you
I went
did.
to the Young Democrats, and nobody told me you can't be here. So when I came with the Young Dems after 1 year, I saw an opening. I said, I'm going to be a candidate for the presidency. There's 2 groups that was fighting. People in Parma and people in the outside. I was just there waiting for the opportunity.
He said, we'll be right up the middle.
And I said, okay, so let's just, one group for Parma, Mark and them say, okay, John, since you were involved with the National Young Dems, you want to be the president, and then we'll just help you, so you show us how to do it. I said, yeah. They got me in there. And then they made the big mistakes of their lives, and because now they wanted to control me. I said, nah. And I went to the east side, and I brought all of my folks. Paul Simon,
right. Everybody.
I want to get Mike in there, man.
Exactly.
I started naming people.
Right.
Bro, they got mad at me. Next election come, I say, okay, see what we're going to do. They mobilize everybody on the west side. And they say we're going to do the election. You remember the problem we had, because they say we're going to do it over there at where the headquarters used to be.
Right.
To do the elections.
Right. That's how they always
And I know
try to,
when we go down there, we're going to lose.
Right. Exactly.
But in politics, you got to be strategic.
Right.
I said, okay, Mike, how are we going to do this? We're going to say, okay, there's the center, youth center over there in St. Clair. We're going to hold the event down there, because they ain't going to show up. And we're going to wake up everybody in the east side to make sure everybody come to vote.
Exactly.
And we send the mail out, said the event, the re-election campaign, because they really wanted to take us back from me.
That's correct.
We're going to do it in the east side. They said, why going to? I said, my argument, and they called Jimmy DeMora, who was to be there. Jimmy DeMora called me to a meeting. What's going on? I said, well, Mr. DeMora, this is what's going on. These folk, they always have the events on the west side.
All right.
But this time, so you guys only use black people when you need they don't like to talk about race. Like, no. I said, well, that's the problem, because now we have it in the east side, you guys are upset. He said, yeah, you're right. You never. I said, that's what the problem is. That's it. I said, yeah. We had it. Nobody showed up. I became the president again. That's how we do it in politics. So I became the president. So before I left, I resigned and gave Paul Sadler the thing. So anyway, that's really how to do it. You just got to get involved. I mean, even in DC, we have the problem, because when we talk about Africa, we don't have enough Africans to speak for us. But I'm happy to see that African Americans, we've done a wonderful job here, even in Congress, in having our words say to what's going on. And the Black Caucus was an example, great example for all of us. And we're making great strides.
Let's talk about your work with Akon and Saba through your co-founding of the Akon Lighting Africa.
Yes.
You helped to bring renewable energy to millions across the continent. What sparked the idea of this initiative, and how was it transformative to Africa?
Same thing. If you plant seeds, you just don't know what you're going to get, right? Akon was watching me, which I didn't know. in the re-election of the president, and after we re-elected the president in 2012, we connected. And then 2013, Akon connected me because I was having already these young people coming to Washington every September during the Black Caucus.
Okay.
I take them to the White House. We do a big hearing about getting involved in local politics, policy and etc. And then I take them to the Black Caucus, and I take them to the State Department. They do the same thing for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in the UN in New York. So I do it again this year. This is the 14th year. So Khan reached out to me and said, listen, man, I see the work that you're doing. I really want to see how I can be of help. I said, okay, so you can be our guest surprise this year for the Global Leadership Program for Give One project that I started in Cleveland, remember? So now the Give One project have the event in DC. I invited Akon to come to be the surprise guest. The young people was happy. The State Department was happy. We did a big reception at the French embassy with my good friend Francois Delat, who's now the ambassador of France in Germany. And Khan was very impressed, and he said, man, you're doing all this thing without money. And I've done non-profit, but it failed because people take my money all the time. I say, it's like you asking me to go and sing in a concert. I can't do it. Your gift is singing, but grassroots organizing is my gift. But I know if we join our hands, we can change a lot of things in Africa because I really want to do things in Africa. And we start brainstorming what we're going to do. I remember those days that I was studying and wanted to continue to study my lessons, and it got dark and my grandpa couldn't get me energy. And I was upset about that. I was like, why is some of the neighbors have electricity, we don't have it? And it's until today, 600 million Africans live in the dark, brother. They never have electricity. They will never have it if we don't do anything. 600 million is a lot of people. It's twice the United States.
That's a lot of people.
Twice the United States live in the dark until today. And I say it's time to invest. That means if you don't have electricity, bro, you don't have good running water, you don't have, like we're doing right now, internet, you don't have telephone charge, you don't got none of that. So the hospitals are nothing in there until today. So I say, Khan, let's invest in energy, renewable energy. This is how Akon Lighting Africa came about. I went to look for another partner, somewhere actually in Africa, because we don't know nothing about energy. Khan was a superstar. At that time, he had 50-something million followers on Facebook. I say, I'm going to put your name on it as Akon Lighting Africa. Khan didn't agree in the beginning because he was telling me no, because of at that time he was having some issues with that issue that we had on the island with that thing. So it's like, no, I think we should create. I said no, because that will repair your name, but that will bring a lot of attention to the project in the world, and that's what ended up happening. Samba had Chinese partners who could help with the line of credit with $1 billion, and we used that to go to China, negotiate it with them. During negotiation, my thing was to the Chinese, I need people to train my young, because they wanted to bring the workers to do the work for them. Because with China and Africa is an interesting going on there with geopolitics. The Chinese send their entrepreneurs, give them money with the Exim Bank, Chinese Exim Bank, to invest in projects so they can have soft power in Africa to compete with the United States and Europe. Because it's raw materials that they need. I will build a hospital for you. You give me a license to get gold and diamonds, or you give me your iron ore, or you give me your diamonds. That's what Europe been doing for years. Now China is there taking over. So they bring their workers. The money will be going back to China. Hard negotiations for almost a month with China. I said no, it's not. If we don't hire our own young people, I don't want the $1 billion. They say, oh,
that's the problem. I say,
I just need quality control manager and few people to train my young people. Because I have young people who don't work. But putting solar lights is not difficult. We can get it from you. We assemble there and we get the young people to work. Finally, they accepted. That's how we created Akon Lighting Africa. That really changed a lot of lives. That changed my life. That's how I decided to move back to Africa afterwards. I saw the reality of poverty in my continent. And I kept going back and forth. Millions of people we go to, bro, some villages that never seen electricity in the world. Never. They don't even hear. They don't ever seen it. And we bring lights over there. The night that we turn the lights on, you will see people crying like they never seen it before. This is what changed my life.
So when you say lights, what are you?
Solar light. We're doing three. We have 3 systems. The first system was a home system where we can plug the whole house, even with one virtual generator and a fan. You know, it's like 5 bedrooms. We put the panels up top, and we bring the wires up connected to the panels, and the whole house will have electricity.
Wow.
And it's all solar because we have 365 days. We don't have winter. Everything is sun. So normally,
It's all, yeah, y'all got
like
nothing
my farm,
but
everything is solar.
Everything's solar.
We don't pay electricity bill in my farm. Everything is solar.
Mm.
So that's the first system. The second one was the street lights. We'll come to a town, we put all street lights there.
Really?
Yes, and the government pays for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have like the mini grid systems. The mini grid systems is like you come and hook up the whole village, all the offices, the mosque, the church, and all of that. They pay by the government. You have the mini grid that hook the whole wires up to the main one, and it's also solar.
Everything's solar, so there's no bills.
And all built by the Chinese.
Wow.
So this is how we built them, and it was we did it in 18 countries around the continent. Very successful project. One day, we traveled a lot that time, and I come back to the US. I was still living in Washington. I come home just for a few days to change clothes and go back. Our main office was in New York, but we were going back and forth. I say one day, man, am I more useful in the United States now or in Africa? Because I saw an avenue of impact that I can be doing. Because we were in a small town in Kai, right outside of Mali, right between Mali and Senegal. And we were electrifying. This older guy was so crying so much. I mean, I was asking him why it made you so emotional. He said he thought he will never able to see his children be able to carry a paper to study at night under a light. He never thought his life would be able to 78 years old. And then I was like, it's time to go back home.
Isn't it safe to say that there's people who didn't know that, so they didn't even know that light existed like that? Is it safe to say that people never even knew
they
that?
They don't even know that there's lights. There's still right now.
That's what I'm saying, right?
600 million people in rural Africa today. 600 million
don't even know you can be lit up at night.
They don't even know they can live under light.
Wow.
We're in 2024.
Wow.
That's what's going on right now in the continent. That gives you hell of opportunities, though. That's why everybody's in Africa except for Africans, because Africans trying to run away from Africa. Everybody's running to make money there because everything needs to be built: roads, highways, schools, hospitals, electricity needs to be put up, water needs to be put up, restaurants needs to be put up, farms, whatever you think about. If you want to do business in Africa, that's where to do it.
That is deep.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think African countries are leading the charge in renewable energy innovation, and how do you think the rest of the world can learn from what they're doing?
I think they are, not only in renewable energy, but even in smart banking, mobile banking as well. There's a lot of things that we leapfrog around the world, but there's today a lot of things that we didn't have to leapfrog. For example, solar. A lot of Americans, a lot of people in Europe, they have to be plugged into the electric system, right? In Africa, many places today didn't have to. They skip that. They go straight up to solar. The same thing with the mobile, right? Telephone. A lot of people in Africa, majority of Africans who are on mobile today, never had the landline telephones. We skip that. The same thing in the banking system. With today here, to transfer money, you go through banking still in the US. You can have PayPal, Zelle, and all that stuff. But in banking in Africa, most people don't even have bank. They never own a bank, but they have banks in their phone. Every money transferred with your phone, mobiles, applications, everything.
Really?
Waves, Wari in Senegal, which not again, but Waves, Orange Money is very advanced. And we are behind the United States compared to Africa when it comes to mobile money. Everybody have their own banking through their phone. They've never been to the bank before. They don't have a bank account. But their banking is mobile telephone. You have a telephone, everything in there. You pay your bills through it. You do all that stuff. And to me, that's something that's very advanced that we didn't have to leapfrog. We use technology to go faster. This is why, many technology companies and construction companies and investment companies are in Africa to utilize the opportunities that are in there. And then to close on that, on the Akon thing, is something I wanted to mention to close that point, because a lot of people don't understand what happened to now. Is that the reason why the project couldn't continue as much is because Africa is still dealing with democracy and the rule of law in many countries. Example, you can go in a country like Benin or Senegal or Burkina Faso, for example, countries that we had. I'll tell you countries that we had big contracts, like Burkina Faso, like Benin, like Mali. Those are examples. There's many more. That they owe us millions of dollars, still don't pay us.
Really?
Just because You can come in the country you have in Guinea, $25 million contract to bring lights. Let's say you bring 100,000 lights. It costs $25 million. And then you have an advance for the government to bring, and then you get paid afterwards. Then you come pay, you do all the work, you put in your money, and the government owe you, let's say, 18 or $15 million. Then you're waiting for payment, the president lose power. The next person that comes in, anybody who worked with that president before, you ain't getting paid, okay?
And you talk about our politics is tough.
That one, it's not even comparable. That one, here's politics. That one, I don't know what to call it. It's just like you take over, everybody else that was saying hello to the former president, you also ain't getting nothing from here.
Wow.
So you lose money there. You go to another country, it's the same thing. And sometimes some countries like Mali and Burkina, what happened to us, we put in all that money and all that work, electrifying all those countries. We get all this money coming in pretty good. And at one point, they owe us all this money. Then we wake up one day. You just wake up one day having your coffee in the morning. You turn the TV. Oh, there's a coup d'etat in Mali and in Burkina Faso. Now it's military taking over. Who are you going to go ask for the money? You come call the military. They're like, oh, you got some money too? You might be going to jail.
Really?
So you lose all that money. So that's another problem that we're dealing with in many of those countries.
And so you would think that at some point they will want lights, though, but no, they'll say,
you know, they do for the people who want the best for their countries. We still have politicians who sometimes the quality of life of people don't matter to them. What matters to them, how much money they can get into their pockets. And many times, it's not all African countries. Of course, there's a lot of you know, changes that are happening in the continent, but there is still some countries where, you know, you got politicians that are way richer than businessmen. Most African countries, the rich people are not business people; they are politicians, and you know why they're rich. You know,
that's correct. That's correct.
So,
with the progress you made, and there's still much more to do. What is your biggest challenges you see in achieving sustainable development and amongst youth, and how are you going to tackle that?
I think the biggest issue for me, especially in my country in Africa, is training. Is the biggest problem, because we got a lot of young people who want to work, but sometimes they're not trained. They don't have the skills, and the issue is they don't want to be trained in skills that's creating jobs. Example, the work in Africa today is in areas that's not in universities anymore. We have a disconnect between the educational system with the job market. The educational system is inherited through colonization. So we're studying history, American history, European history, philosophy. We're studying literature, right? Today, the market is in the areas that I put my investments are, which in education and training, in science, in technology, in farming, in construction. Like you can, you know, building homes, and plumbery, in carpentry. Those things, young people in many countries, they don't want to do. They want to be in offices. They want to be in, you know, a lawyer. They want to be have a suit and a tie to be hired.
Yep.
And this is my biggest challenge, is how we can continue to inspire them to go into farming, to go into construction, because we got to build roads, we got to build schools, we got to build highways, we got to build those jobs as construction work, job skills. You will never go without a job. But today's generation, the problem is that most of them, there was a study recently in the New York Times, I read this amazing article. There's an American guy who went to Asia and interviewed many young people under 18 years old in South Korea and in China and in Japan, came to Africa and then went to the United States and Canada. 99% of young people in Europe, in Asia, when they ask them what you want to become, 98% said they want to be engineer, they want to be in science and technology, things that's like new today. 92% of them in Africa, they're saying, oh, we want to be influencers.
And what's that?
Influencers, like people who
influencers.
Yeah,
okay.
Instagram popular.
Yeah, I got you. Influencer, got you.
The United States, the same thing. 78% of the young people want to be a celebrity.
That's correct.
In Europe and Asia, in Canada, the same thing. And the study is saying now, what's going to happen in 10 years from now? When our generation, our kids become now us, the CEOs. China will take over the world because they will control the technology of the world. Who control the technology? US control the world today because we still control the technology. If our young people are not going on science and technology and learning the skills that's going to be control the job market.
That's correct.
We want to be influencers and they want to be engineers. Tomorrow they'll be learning us, giving us a TikTok and stuff to use. Now we were all upset about TikTok because we're not creating as much as we were creating like Silicon Valley was doing in the beginning.
That's correct.
So this is my biggest challenge for your question, to how we can make sure young people in this generation understand that skills will still guarantee you jobs. And when you got jobs, you got dignity. Jobs is more than just, I saw my son in the car before coming. Always remember, people can talk about luck, but I want you to be able to always know that it's through hard work you get what you want. You know?
That's correct. And it seemed like a generation lost that. And I don't know if it was because we wanted to make it easier for them. Because, I mean, if you think about it, the struggle you went through to get there, you would never want to wish that on any of your kids. No. You don't want them to have anything close to that, what you had to go through. So you make it a lot easier for them. But you know to yourself that you just sat here and said you can never be who you are today if you without it. I agree. And that's the hard part about these things that get me. Looking ahead, what are the next big steps for you, and whether with renewable energy, youth, and leadership, and any other initiatives on the horizon, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to talk about this one because I decided I'm going to go into cinema.
Cinema?
Yeah.
Movies?
Yes.
Okay.
And my first movie is being released actually in the Cleveland Greater Film Festival.
Right. Oh, so when that happens, you got to come
September
up.
September 19th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would make sure
and it's ironic. I told my...
Well, that's coming up. Okay.
Next month. It's crazy too because it's just something with me in Cleveland. I told my team, they are in Senegal and France. Google for me all of the film festivals in the world and put my movie there. We just filmed 2 movies. And I read these movies, I put them up, we filmed them, they're great movies, and I said, put them up, short movies, and I want to go to a film festival in September. This is last January. Then we got a response from a Cleveland Film Festival, Greater Cleveland Film Festival. They say you can apply, it's going to be in September. We applied. I had no idea when they was applying, I just told them apply, they applied. Then we got a letter that we accepted. I said, okay, this is interesting. In Cleveland, I'm going to show my first movie. And then we have a call now with the organizers. 2 weeks ago, that all of us who were selected, 50 films that are selected this year, from September 19th to the 26th. Then we have a call. It's 12 a.m. in Senegal. I think it was like 7 p.m. here, 8 p.m. I'm up with my team to be in the call. Who's on the call is Alton Tinker and
Anton Tinker.
And Donna. Donna is the director. Donna who used to be
Hobbs.
Donna who used to be the key bank and the nonprofit that we used to have for the young professionals.
Yeah.
I said, this is crazy, man. This is my sister, somebody I knew for so long.
Exactly.
And she was so happy. She's like, Sean, I can't believe it. I'm like, you guys bring me to Cleveland to show my first movie to the world. We are intertwined. This is an amazing thing. So yeah, I decided to go into cinema because of understanding the power in cinema, still learning a lot about the United States with Hollywood, how they control the geopolitics of the world through cinema, and how we can also, us Black people, use cinema to tell our own stories. You know, I started writing. I'm on my 9th book. Because I was tired of seeing them telling our stories in their own length. And I say, I don't want tomorrow my son Elijah, somebody to explain to him my story. I want to tell my own story. For my kids to also have a model. And the general said, okay, he did this, then we can do more than that.
That's correct.
So I said, I wrote my first book, and then I couldn't stop. I wrote even children's books now. They're all in Amazon. So then I say, it's not enough to write books because these kids don't read anymore. We got to do what they've done to control the world, to tell our own stories. So I say, I'm going to go into cinema. There's a lot of African stories we need to share to the world, our culture, our way of living, our struggles, and let other people see us from our own way of telling our stories. That's why I started writing movies, and I'm going to not only write movies, but I'm going to act. It's something I wanted to do.
You know, you truly like me, man. We set out to just do stuff and just do
what you want to do.
You know what I'm saying? And our kids and others kind of look at us sometimes when we say we're going to do it like, man, you're doing way too much and you're not going to do it. But we do it. I had, and it's crazy. I had a discussion with my son a couple of days ago. He'd be mad if I tell his story, but I'm going to say it anyway. Right. We were talking and I was showing him I was in that Who's Who of Cleveland magazine, and he was reading that thing, and he said, "You know, I'm gonna give you credit."
Right.
He said, "You doing this podcast thing and everything, man.
Mm.
I didn't think you were going to do it."
Wow.
And I said, "Really?"
Right.
I said, "So you doubted me?"
Right.
He was like, "No, I didn't doubt you." I said, "Well, if you ain't think I was going to do it, that's called doubting."
Right.
He said, "No, I just didn't think you was going to do it to the length you did it."
Right.
And I said, "Well, why would you think that?" He said, "I don't know." I said, that's the difference between parents and kids.
Right.
Because as a parent, I never doubt anything that you say you're going to do.
Right.
From the time you was a kid. When you say you wanted to play football,
like,
even when you was hurt, I never doubted that you was never going to go to college and play. Never doubted that you was never going to go to the league. Right. Never doubted any of that shit. Right. I always say, hey, you're going to do what you want to do. Right. Now, as you get older and you start laying on the couch more and you start not doing stuff, then we start doubting the fact that you're going to do anything. But in the beginning, everybody's giving us straight up even slate. Right. And we don't doubt. Yes. So I wasn't upset that you doubted me, but I'm just like, you just kind of think about it in that matter that, he said, I never thought about it like that. I said, no, you can, I'm a firm believer, just like you are, that you can do whatever you set your mind out to do. Exactly. If you say you wanted to be a farmer, you was a farmer. You said, I want to write 9 books, you wrote 9 books. Exactly. I want to come to the United States. I came to the United States. Exactly. I want to get involved in politics on the upper level of politics. You done that. Exactly. How many languages you speak, Sean?
Yeah, I speak 5 languages.
5 languages. Yeah. How many countries you done been to?
Oh, man, more than 100, brother. I've traveled a lot, man.
You traveled a lot.
I have so many passports. It's like...
What's the best? What you say the most beautiful place you done seen?
It's very hard to say. People ask me that question, but I think it depends on what you look for. Every place is special, and I didn't, like today, I was walking with my girl and my kids around Cleveland, going on Lakewood, and I'm just seeing the beauty of the city that I haven't seen when I was living here.
That's interesting.
And she's saying, I can buy a house here. I said, really? He said, yeah, it's just friendly, family friendly, it's clean, it's nice, you got the waterfront, I said, yeah, when I was living here, I wouldn't see it that way. When I go to Morocco, every country, I like something special. I like Morocco because of the food, the culture, the kindness. People are very nice. It's a beautiful cultural country. Senegal is normal. It's my home. France, the cuisine, the food. Paris is beautiful, but I don't like the attitude of the French. I just like the food and the kindness.
You don't like the attitude?
Yeah, they have too much attitude.
Really?
I complain about everything. But here, I like I love this country because of its possibilities of what you can do. This country is whatever you can do, you can do. That's what the craziness of America, I love. That you can dream and you can, if you're willing to work hard, you can make it a reality. Asia, I like because it's new. It's what America did. They're trying so hard to do it in a newer way. Everything is newer. The hotels, the roads, the everything. So they're even passing us now in gadgets, in technology and all of those things. But this in Senegal are the countries that I love the most because it's like the father and the mother, and you love them both. And what I would say of the important thing you just said about what your son, conversation you had with your son hit me because people ask me that a lot. You're doing a lot, man. You're creating organizations, you're doing this, that nonstop. It's never stopped. And my philosophy to that is that you have an opportunity to live one life. There ain't gonna be no second or third. One. And you have an opportunity in that one life, you can live many, many lives in one life. Why you want to live just one time? You can be a carpenter, tomorrow you be a mechanician, after tomorrow. My philosophy is I want to live every life that I want to live in my one life. I always wanted to be an actor. I'm going to act.
I see.
Bro, I wanted to be a producer. Well, I produced 2 movies in 1 year. I wanted to write books. I'm an author. I have 9 books now, and I'm not stopping. I wanted to be a public speaker. I'm a global public speaker. And it's not stopping. Every time you got to push the limits to know that in the end of the life, I read an interesting book. This guy who would travel around the US and Canada, interviewed 400 older folks, 90 years old and up, 80 years old and up. What did they regret it the most? And what came out about that interview? So he wrote a book about it. Everybody of them said, one guy woke up every morning looking at the sun in his window. And they asked him, why are you looking at the sun every day? He said, I don't know what's the last day I'll look at this sun. And growing up as a kid, I'd never seen that. So the conclusion of the book is, the thing you will regret the most in the end of your life is the things that you could do and you didn't do.
Wow.
Because of fear. Of what? being criticized by somebody, or you think you can't do it. See, the thing is, bro, you were doing the right thing. You wanted to do a podcast? Well, now it's a done deal. You thinking about something else? Do it. Let's
Exactly.
just create lives, and you don't know in the end
Mhm.
how many people that you will inspire. You know?
Sean, as usual, brother, I knew you was gonna do awesome on the show, man.
Man,
We
thank you,
really
brother. I
appreciate
enjoyed
you
it.
coming on, man. I got
Thank
one
you.
last question, and I want you to answer that one
Yeah.
into this camera because this one right here.
Oh, in the camera right
Yeah,
here.
and because this one, I want you to answer the question, and then you can end it on anything you want to end it on,
Right.
talking to our guest here. But the question is, I want to give you, and you end it in your own way,
Mhm.
is what legacy do you hope to leave behind, and the message you would like to give to the next generation of
Mhm.
global change makers? And you can end
Well,
it with that right
That's
there.
a great question. The message I will love for people to remember of me of is to always believe that there is nothing that you can do, and that there is not the limit to your dreams or your aspirations. You know, there is anything that's planted in your head as an idea. If you look at everything that's been created around the world, from this mic that I'm talking to you, from the camera that you're looking at me to the airplane I took to come here, to the boats, to whatever it is, the lines, the telephones, the houses that you live. It was an idea that somebody thought about, but somebody didn't just think about it. They had the courage to go into practice, into Jeuf, I call it, in all of this action, to push the limits to make that dream a reality, which later on make many people believe that they are extraterrestrials or they are genius, and they're not genius. They just have the courage that whatever God has put in them as an idea, they can make it a reality. This, though, means that sometimes you might fail trying it. Many of them failed many times. Some of them died, tried to build a plan. Some of them couldn't make it, just make the lights come up. But in millions of tries, without stopping, continuing to believe, you can make your dreams also a reality. And that dream might be that dream that can just change the lives of millions of people you might not be able to meet. And you don't have to even finish the line to see them, but just get it done, because the world depend on that small idea that you have, that millions have died because of criticism or afraid of being criticized or doubting themselves. They went to the cemetery with those ideas that could be changing the world. So what I would say to anybody watching is that whatever you're thinking about is your project, can be the thing that will change the world. And it will. Your dreams are valid and you can make it a reality. And I am a living testimony that you can come from nothing to something. And there is not nothing, because that nothingness, as you said in our conversation, is the foundation of why I was able to do what I'm able to do. Because the challenges you're going through, the tests that you're going through, the difficulties that you're going through, the no's that you're going through, will be the foundation that you need to build. Like we're building this where we live right now. There's a foundation behind we don't see. We only see the top, the beauty. But there's something stronger inside that keeps it. Those are the challenges. So that too is a part of the process. And you need to accept that those challenges are not going to take you out, but they're going to build you to go up so you can build not only you and your family, but generations who are not even born yet. Because I am living through the life and the dreams and the aspirations of everybody who came before me through the civil rights movement. A black man like me going to the White House and the State Department and crossing the world in the United States is because Dr. King and all of them around him had the guts to make their dreams, that I have a dream, a reality, that for me, Ken, you and I, to be able to elect a black president,
Right.
is that you too can do it. And that's what I want to tell everybody. You can do it.
Hey, that's Sean name.
My man.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Got
Thank
a
you.
question from the
Yes, sir.
DJ.
Cause you was gonna forget me again, huh?
Oh well, you got to jump in, brother.
Yes.
No, that was very good, very inspiring.
Thank you.
Now, what do you think, since you come from the political side of things, with working with Obama, how much belief do you believe that people have that back then when Obama was trying to become president to what do you think the projections or the belief that Kamala Harris can be president? Like, what's the difference? Because it seemed like you, Ken, and other people were like the very few people that were on board. Do you think what's the difference between Obama and Kamala Harris and the prospect of them becoming president?
That's an interesting story. That's an interesting question. Yeah, I think it's a big difference on my own opinion, because of we couldn't, during Obama time, we couldn't even think of a Black person. I'm not talking about a man or a woman. We're talking about just like a person that's of color with a funny name, Barack Hussein Obama, which a few years prior to that, we had an issue with Iraq with Saddam Hussein. We had an issue with terrorism. We had 2 wars we were fighting with Afghanistan and Iraq. With all of those together, and then, his name, but he's young, he just came about. Even our own people doubted it was possible.
That's correct.
We talked about that, Ken. And that's the fact that it was the first time brought something in us that we never lived before. That doesn't mean I'm not underestimating the opportunity to have a first Black woman as president is going to be historic. But it didn't do something to me like it did before. I couldn't sit in one place watch. I had to get in and get dirty, and you know what I mean. And we should all do it to support the sister to get in there. But to answer to your question, Barack was very historic. It was the starting point. It's like okay, the first day you have a child for your first time. It's not like you love all the kids and all of them when they come in, but when you having the second child, you get the routine now.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you how it is on mine.
The routine.
It's like been there, done that.
Yes,
almost. Yes. And it's not to discount her in any, but the candidates were different. Yeah. Barack was a guy that you didn't think you was going to win it, but you sure didn't mind getting out there fighting with him because he inspired you enough to make you get out there and want to fight and win it. Kamala Harris is coming across as if we got to vote for her because she's the sister and she's the best candidate in this race. So it's different. So it's just hitting different. It's no discount that she's not a good candidate. It's none. It just hit different. Like you said, those speeches Barack did in the rain when his grandmother died. Everybody cried. His very first speech when you very first. I mean, he was. It was a storyteller too. He was a storyteller. So he was good, and that made it. And it gave him more. He had more time to campaign, which gave you more time to know him to make it good. So Kamala is like jumping out. We got to get behind an election in almost 60 days. We got to get it done, and it's sort of that kind of thing. It feels like you got to do it. Right. Versus, hey, we really want to go out here and do this.
People was volunteering everywhere.
Exactly. And the women are the women. They're gonna handle their business. They organize. They out there getting down for it, and they doing it. But it makes everybody else sort of feel like, okay, we better make sure you go vote for Kamala. And it's that kind of thing. Unfortunately,
that's true.
All right, man. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the program, man. You did a great job. We're going to put all the links in the descriptions of how you can get involved with my man and all his organizations, all the stuff he's doing, all his books and everything, so that you can reach out to him and look at what he's doing. He's doing some really big things.
With the NAACP here on the 27th.
Oh, 27th.
Yeah, I'm the keynote speaker this year. So right after the film, I think they have this big banquet going on.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. 27th September.
September 27th. He'll be on September 27th. So he'll be back in Cleveland. So let's make sure we check it out. And his film. We definitely, when the film come out, we'll definitely be putting that out so you guys can check that out.
That's right.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. Thanks again.
Always, brother.
All right, peace.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
We'll see you next week.
This is Strategic Moves with Ken Dow.